What if they said something like mean? What if they said like, "Oh, they're just to like fill this quota or whatever"? That's what I was afraid. I would I was afraid that like I would like go open my file and it would just be a big stamp that just says affirmative action on there. I'm just like, no.
Hey guys, welcome to the College Lead YouTube channel. Today we have a very special guest, James Brandon Jones. Switching gears a little bit, you have kindly offered to share little bits and pieces of your Harvard admission file, which you viewed. So before we dive into that, tell me about sort of your admission file in general. What were your first impressions when you saw that?
When I saw it, I think it took a lot of mental preparation because like we were like first for a while, no one really knew that you can go view them. And then it came out in like news things because like the whole court trials and everything that you could view them. And then we were like, oh yeah, but even if we could, we couldn't decode it. And then was it like Washington Post or Wall Street Journal was like, this is how you decode the Harvard admission files. And then everyone said, so, and a lot of people were like scared. Like, what if they said something like mean? What if they said like, oh, they're just to like fill this quota or whatever? That's what I was afraid. I was afraid that like I would like go open my file and it would just be a big stamp that just says affirmative action on there. I'm just like, no, but it wasn't like that. It was actually, I think what I realized was that interviews definitely matter. If you have a neutral interview, then like it's not gonna hurt you. If you have a bad interview, that's gonna hurt you. If you have a good interview, like yeah, it's really good. It's only if you have like a really bad interview, right? But most like if you're already at that point, you should be able to do well on an interview if you just be yourself. So I think my interview, people I think they had good things to say about me, because they just kind of turned into conversations. My interview style from then and even now, just because of who I am, was like I try my best to take it away from the resume and turn it into a conversation. If they're not already in that mode, like some interviewers are like, hey, calm down before you even start into conversation. Some people are like, okay, well, your resume says, I'd be like, hey, let's not talk about my resume, sir.
Exactly.
Yeah, so like usually I'm like really nervous, and then as soon as I get in like a joke, whether it's good or bad, I'm like, okay, we're running, we're gonna go. The whole application they judge you on, like it's overall, academic, extracurricular, athletics, because it's an Ivy League institution and I don't know, they think athletics are really important, and then personality. And they judge you, I think 1 through 6. If one is like outstanding, like we need this person now. 6 is like, no, thank you, thanks for applying. So I think I got a combinations of like 2s and 3s, and I think I was a 2 overall. So I'm like, okay, cool, that's good. They gave me like a 3 in athletic, which I was kind of sad about because I was like, I played athletics for all my life. I played soccer for my whole life. Gonna give me a 3? It's okay. It's like I was like, okay. It's like I'll see you guys at the reunion.
Let's see who wins the race then. I just want to say that I actually got a 4 on athletics, so.
Hey, it looks like we're athletic neighbors.
Very athletic, apparently. No, I never thought I was a terrible athlete, and somehow I still got in. But for my admission file, I shared that in another video, and I'll link that in the description in case if any viewers want to see what my admission file scores are like. But I got a range of 1s, 2s, 4s.
You got 1s?
3s, but I got 4s.
You got 1s? Okay.
I got a 1 for extracurriculars and then a 2 for my academics. I'm not good at academics.
That's dope.
But anyways, that just goes to show that everyone's profile is different. So just because if any viewers want to try ranking themselves against a metric similar to this, just because you don't get 1s or 2s across the board does not mean you will not get in. Harvard and many other colleges apply a holistic review process. That means that they'll look at you as a person, kind of like what James is saying, where taking a step back from the resume, who are you as a person? What are your interests? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? And what background did you come from? So I do just want to put that out there before we dive deeper into the admission file. Every person is different. James and I have different backgrounds, yet we still both got into Harvard. So there is no secret sauce, if you will, or secret formula to get
Secret
into a
sauce.
particular school. Yeah. So if you're comfortable, could you share sort of what score
Yeah,
you alluded to it earlier, but let's talk about that a little more. What did you
yeah,
receive for, I guess, overall, extracurricular, athletic, or whatever you're comfortable with sharing?
yeah. Let me go find them because I have too many photos in my phone. For academics, I got a 2 minus. So there's like I think minus, regular, and plus. Like plus is better than minus. 2 minus. Extracurriculars, 3 plus. Athletics, 3 plus. And then personality, 2 minus. I'm like, sure, that's cool. I guess they like me. But like ones are rare. I read that ones are like really rare. So like congrats to you on like getting a 1. Cream of the crop extracurricular girl.
Nah. I got a 4 on athletics, so
That's okay. That's okay.
I not possible to be superhuman. But what are your reactions, I guess, to these scores? Do you think they're accurate? Do you think they're not? Why do you think Harvard accepted you if there is one or a combination of 2 or 3 reasons?
I mean, man, that's a question that I've been asking myself for how long? 5 years? I guess coming up on 6 years since I ever got in. I'm like, why did I get in? And I don't really know. I think my interview helped a lot. I think I am a person that needs to get into the room to really make a difference. Not a difference, to like make an impression. I think on paper I just kind of look like a regular guy. Like a regular guy that's like decent at things. But then I get in the room and I'm like, oh cool. He seems pretty cool. He seems pretty smart. And then I'm like, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, blah blah blah. And they're like, oh, look at this dork. But I guess he's charming in a weird way. But yeah, so gave they gave the score and they kind of gave like their like a little paragraphs each time, like for the scores. So like personal qualities, it's like, oh, he's got openness to new ideas, wants to contribute to college life. He looks like he'd make a good roommate. Um, like they mentioned that the one time, usually in interviews, they'll ask you like, what's one thing that you want us to know about you? And for some reason, I just decided to go with books. I'm like, here are my 2 favorite books instead of trying to get something important in there. But I think that was good. And apparently one of my teachers that I asked to do my was it
Recommendation
rec
letter?
letters? Yeah, recommendation letters called me the hope for the next generation, which is like, oh my gosh, I need some help because I'm not doing that right now. I'm trying. No. But yeah, I think my first impression of reading those, I'm like, okay. I mean, like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I thought I was okay. I didn't think I was the best of the best of the best. And I think I was just mostly happy that I wasn't disappointed. Just like I was expecting kind of like to see like annotations, people just writing yikes. It's like, oh, just barely got in. Because when you're nervous about something, you expect the worst. But overall, it's like really thorough. Like these applications are really thorough. They're not just like looking at it and then throwing it to the side. They have like 2 people going over it and they have their 2 scores to make sure that they match. Like they average those scores, they go through the recommendations, they go through the interviewers, and they pack it all nicely together in like a little file. And then they hold that file for 4 years and then they shred them after you graduate. So it's long
Grab
gone
access to
now.
them while you can.
For interviewers, I think it just worked. It just ended up working out well. I think we ended up clicking well. We had a good conversation. I remember very distinctly that I walked into the office because it was like in Chicago. I like traveled to downtown Chicago with my best friend. We like separated. She went to a Stanford interview. I went to a Harvard interview. And I walk into the room and she's sitting there. I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? And there's like in the middle, there's like a big plate of like pastries. I freaking love pastries. Like they're, oh my gosh, bro. If you, I'll eat a whole donut shop if like it wouldn't destroy me. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, I want a pastry, but I need to wait for her to offer me a pastry. Like we're gonna play this little game of psychological chess here, like it's an interrogation. And man, we just went through that whole interview. I think I did okay. I got a joke in. She laughed. We had some good conversations about books and movies. superheroes, just things that naturally end up going that direction when you give me like a little bit of freedom and you get me to talking. And yeah, I think it was a good interview. And I left, shook her hand. She's like, "Oh, you seem like a really nice young man. Like, good luck to you in the future." I'm like, "Yeah." And I leave the room and I leave the building and I'm like, dang, she did not offer me. She did not offer me a pastry. I don't know if that's good or bad. Maybe they were fake and I didn't notice. But I was like, she just gonna waste that whole plate of pastries. Whole plate of pastries. I just like I might have said no. Like I think I was nervous, so maybe I said no. But it's just like the offer there, because I don't know. That's just a weird memory that just sticks out. Just like it was a good interview. I got in, so I guess it was good, but she still didn't offer me.
One takeaway from the interview.
There's one takeaway. Wait for them to offer you the pastry.
Did you do anything to prepare for your interview, or did you just kind of go in and was thinking this is a conversation, or mixture of both?
Yeah, so I had actually had another interview like 2 weeks before that, which was the Stanford interview. And I was super nervous about that. I was like prepping with my mom in the car. She was like asking me questions. I was like, bang, 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 bang. Yeah, I'm a robot. I know all the questions you're going to ask me. I'm just going to spit them out like there's a person with a cue card behind you, like boom. But then I get into the room and this guy's like, "Hey, I want you to let you know that this is just a conversation." And he didn't ask me about anything academic. We just talked, which was crazy. And I kept trying to bring it back to like academics. I'm like, please, let me show you that I'm like a good student. And he kept bringing it back somewhere else because I guess he's just trying to figure out who I am. So then like the next time I went, like 2 weeks later into the Harvard interview, I'm like, all right, just a conversation. And she's like, my mom's like, "Do you need to prep?" I was like, "Not really. Let's just talk." Because I know what it's gonna be like. Yeah. But then she did ask me some academic questions. I was like, you guys need to get on the same page because like I'm not prepping well for this. But yeah, I think being able to learn how to treat interviews as a conversation is a very important skill because even if they ask you like something that you're not prepared for, you can just talk about it. Like interviews, they're just asking you about yourself, like about your achievements. And as long as you know yourself well and kind of like know what drives you behind these achievements and like the why behind a lot of what you do, you'll not only be able to answer those questions, you'll be able to have like really good, deep, and meaningful conversations that are going to have an impact on your interviewers. And then that will also cause them to like relax a little bit, like, okay, this person's not a freaking robot, which will allow avenues to like open up and they're going to become a little bit more loose and maybe won't go down like just going down your resume, but it's going to go this way and that way. Like, which was good because like as you get more and more interview experience, it just compounds on each other. You almost never lose your interview experience. Like I think it all like senior year I got an interview with this one engineering company and I go in and the guy asked me like 2 questions and then like we laugh a lot and then like for like 45 minutes we just talk about like Marvel movies and comics and whatnot. I'm like, this is good. So yeah, learning how to treat interviews as a conversation really works because like they're also trying to make sure that you're like a good person, like a chill person, that you're gonna like contribute to their work environment well, that you're gonna mesh well. So like that's something that might not be showed on like the interview paper, your resume paper, sorry. So like it's important that you need to be able to direct them in those directions to show those things off as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point, especially since an admission office like Harvard's, for instance, they'll have information on your transcript, they'll have your extracurricular list, they'll have your personal statements. What they really might be looking for, the piece of information that they're missing is what is James or Kristen like what are they like as people? What do they care about? Can you have a conversation with them? Are they some people that you would like to study with or go to school with? I hope the answer was yes for both of us.
I think so. I think they're also looking to see if you're a good roommate. Like, would you be a good roommate? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's even one of the questions I think in the interview for Harvard that the interviewers have to answer.
Yeah. I think that was one of the questions that I failed on my Stanford application because it was like an essay question. Like, if you were to describe yourself to your roommate in a creative way, how would you? And I did it in a way that now that I look back on it, it was like super creepy. It's like super creepy. It was like, I like wrote it third person as if I was like a wild animal. and there was like a nature documentary, kind of Planet Earth style, because I'm a big Planet Earth fan. So as if David Attenborough was like narrating who I am as a person to my roommate. So imagine like this letter arriving to you in the mail, right? And you're reading it like, oh,
James
this is
in
my
the
new
wild.
roommate. Yeah, the wild James. Like
In
literally,
the
I think that was
wildlands
a
of Chicago.
I think that was a phrase, and I can imagine them just being like, "Who? What? No, bye."
Oh my
It's
god.
like everything happens
Lessons
for a
learned,
reason.
lessons learned, and you get a good laugh out of it later on. So
Yeah.
it's totally fine. Okay, so I want to make sure we get to the next part because these are questions that I have actually received from my Instagram
Okay.
followers. For any viewers, if you have an Instagram, check out my Instagram. It's just at College Lead, and I'll leave the link in the description.